Kili Sears, Tribal Council Representative for Wakpamani District, and today we are here for the Constitutional Reform Task Force update. And I just want to wish everybody a good morning and safe travels on the road. And all the listeners out there, may you have a good day today. And I'll let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hihani Lakchi, this is Nakina Mills, Pine Ridge District Rep. Wish you all a very good morning and special prayers for all those that need prayers. I would appreciate some prayers as well. Just thankful that we're able to have this time together to share with the people. This is definitely a part of the role that I enjoy, sharing and talking and discussing with the people. So Wopila for taking this time this morning and listening to us.
Yes, and I want to say good morning to the great Lakota Nation, to our people. It's really beautiful outside this morning. We got the warm weather and the sun is shining and there's a lot of good things. And as Councilwoman Mills said, we want to thank the people for taking this time to share with us and get the update on constitutional reform. And we've, as I mentioned in the past, we kind of moved beyond the reform, and now it's trying to get it moving forward to the secretarial election, and that's where we are at this point in time. So we plan to be back out in the districts again and boots on the ground, right, Jackie?
Yes.
As last administration was the same effort, and we're going to continue to move forward with the people, and so we'll be out, and we have a whole list of dates of where we're going to be, and I'm going to let Jackie and Akina share that with the people, so get your pens and papers ready, because it's important to know that we'll be out there in your area. And hopefully, you know, we want to make sure we're reaching out to those people who are off the road, and if you know where that we're coming, and we have volunteers from that area who's also going to assist us in this effort as well.
Yeah, right now we'll read off the places that we'll be, and we'll also read it at the end of the show, so you can have paper and pencil ready for your district and what dates we will be out there. And these are going to be petition drives going off the road, so depending on weather also, if we're able to get off the road to come to your home. We're trying to hit every home on the reservation. And we're also asking for volunteers. You know, anybody that wants to volunteer in your district on these days will be really, really helpful, because it's time consuming going off the highway to get to homes. So that's one of the obstacles that, you know, we face, especially when it comes to bad weather. Trying to find out if people, you know, we're trying to look at also on the boundaries where each district, where it ends, so we're not in any other off the reservation or something. But this is what the first date will be on. This will be in the Wombly area. We'll be out there on April 4th and 5th from 9 to 3 o'clock. So we'll be out there 2 days in a row. And that's April 4th and 5th in Wombly area. And then we'll be out to Martin area on April 7th and 9th. And that'll be from 9 to 3 o'clock. So we'll be in those areas on the 7th and the 9th in the Wombly area, Martin area, sorry. And then we have the Allen area. We'll be out that area around on April 10th and 11th at 9 to 3 o'clock. So all these are the same time throughout the month of April. So April 10th and 11th will be out in Allen area. On April 12th and the 14th, we'll be in the Kyle area from 9 to 3. So that'll be April 12th and 14th in the Kyle area. And Nakina will read off the next districts.
So then April 16th and 17th, the Porcupine area from 9 to 3. So that's April 16th and 17th. April 18th and 19th will be the Manderson, like Wounded Knee area. And that's from 9 to 3, both days, April 18th and 19th. April 23rd and 24th would be the Wakbomini area. So 9 to 3 both days, April 23rd and 24th. April 25th and 26th would be Pine Ridge area, 9 to 3. April 25th and 26th. April 28th and 30th would be the Oglala area from 9 to 3. So April 28th and 30th would be Oglala area from 9 to 3. And we can't stress this enough, like the people, like volunteers, people that know, you heard the dates, you'll hear it again at the end of the show. If people are willing to, come and help in this initiative and in this petition drive, you can contact us. We'll share our numbers at the end of the show. Jackie and I are on social media, so you can definitely reach out there and say, hey, you want to help. We definitely would appreciate the help. So again, Wopilan will share the dates and places again at the end of the show.
And I did post this boots on the ground effort for the petition drive, and this is on my Facebook, and I did put my phone number on there if you want to volunteer in these areas when we're out there.
And we also had the opportunity to meet with our high school student council, and we did that last week, and that was really nice that we had the invitation to come and speak with the students, and a lot of those students were really excited in regards to the change, and they're saying, how can we have an impact? How can we make that change? And I said, that's talking to your council representative. And so that was some of the discussion around that in regards to the changes that the people are bringing forward in the 50 amendments. Along with that, we had the opportunity to go and speak with IHS staff in Pine Ridge. And so that was, really great that Miss Barbara Asher gave us that opportunity to speak at the all staff, and it was quick, very, very quick. But it was good, and being able to share the information with the people. And one of the questions posed was, how many of you heard about constitutional reform? And there was a few hands, and then the next question was, how did you hear about constitutional reform? And a lot of them said, Nakina. And so that was also good to hear back, get good feedback. Is, social media is one of the big things that people are paying attention to. And, we do have a constitutional reform Facebook page, and a lot of that gets updated, and that information is out there. And so we're always trying to look at different mediums of how we communicate with the people, and we do send things to the CAP offices, we send things to the college centers, and of course we're with KOLC, and all of the things are getting updated. And I know we're scheduled to have a show with KOLC soon here, and so we're going to get that done, and just updating the people of where we are and in this process, and following with what they asked us to do. And with that, there's comes many hurdles and obstacles, and unfortunately, it's not the obstacles of the people, it's the obstacles of within tribal government, because that's where the change needs to happen. So, with that, I can say that, Nakina asked for prayers. I think we all need prayers, and having the courage to continue to move forward despite all of the opposition and abuse, at times. And I can say this personally is, I'm kind of tired of being abused and kicked around in this process, and there's a lot of work and effort that went into it, a lot of documentation, and the people put me in this position to help make that change. And with that being said, it's the people who I represent, not council. And so we'll continue to move this forward in the best way that we can, and what is stated, and following the processes within the Constitution. and trying to get the secretarial election. And our hope is always that the people have the opportunity to make revisions within draft 7 and to vote on each and every amendment. That's our hope. However, it seems that there's more obstacles in making that a reality. So we're going to continue with the petition process to move it forward. And hopefully, if we get this changed, that just allows for the process to be easier for more changes to come in the future.
Yep, and then we'll wait for the date for the special, and just let the people know. As soon as we know that date, we will definitely get it out there. We as a task force would appreciate the date sooner, so that we know when to tell people, because we have visitors coming who want to share. We have people that want to come and share about this process and share with the legislators, the people that will decide the right to vote for these things. So I think it's important that we get this date and we can notify the people that are coming, that we can share in this process, and the importance of them being allowed to have this vote.
And I think the other important part is that, the representatives need to be able to feel free to come and ask us questions, because they're given information and misinformation. There was a discussion yesterday on the side where, we as a task force were saying, no, we want them to vote just one yes or no. No, that's not the case. So again, we had to communicate, no, we want the people to have the opportunity to vote yes or no on each of the 50 amendments. And I said, we can even sit down and look at what else the people has offered in those revisions, because we do have, we did go out in our constitutional conventions. We gathered more information of what could be strengthened, what can be updated, and so we have that information as well.
And we're still getting, like last night I even had, hey, I have I'm going to simplify this for you guys. So they're going to email me more things. So it's at any time anybody can share what they think should be added, changed. We've never once said, no, it's this way or no way. Like that's not how we should be as legislators in any format.
Exactly. And we did also post surveys in regards to draft 7. So, what we're getting, the feedback in the surveys is they feel comfortable with some of those changes. And yeah, there are some updates that need to happen within it. And, as a task force, we're only moving this forward for the people. And with that, I think it's important that council understand that we're willing to come to the table. That's why this meeting's important. And it's unfortunate we have to make another motion to have this special meeting when it should have been followed up with within a timely manner. But it is what it is, and we did get it passed, so hopefully that special does happen. And during this special, we're hoping to sit down and say, okay, let's look at all these 50 amendments. Let's really sit down and look at them. Now, how do we improve it? How do we move it forward? This is what the people are saying. And make the necessary amendments to what draft 7, and then move it forward to a secretarial election so that people can vote on each and every amendment. The other thing is, we're open to going back out into the communities. I mean, that's what we've been doing. So if that's what we need to do with council, then let's do it. Let's take that time. Let's take 2-3 days in each district to talk about constitutional reform and these amendments.
But it would be nice if the other elected officials would join us in this endeavor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It has to be whole council going to each and every district to talk about these amendments and the updates and the amendments.
I know we were scheduled on March 4th for the special council meeting regarding constitutional reform, and that got canceled, and council passed again on the floor to have the president schedule another constitutional special within 30 days for constitutional reform session with council. So, it just it gets passed, it gets canceled, you know, things like that are happening, and I know that it's only one day. It's only one day of giving up our time again to go over this important document. And it is important. It's reflecting change coming forth in what the people had stated in their survey. It isn't coming from us, because I can say that there's a lot of changes that the people put in here that I didn't agree with, but it's not coming from us. It's what the people had said, you know, so we don't want to go and say, well, I don't like that, take that out. That's not about what we're here for. You know, one of the council reps did state that this has to come from the people, and it is. It's coming from the people. We have all the surveys, we have all documentation of going out to the presentations,
It's all on KOLC.
yeah, it's all on
video.
KOLC. You can hear all the people having input and offering solutions, and very much embrace that time that finally people, the government is coming to us. The legislators are coming to us and allowing us to have this voice. And this was passed by council for us to go and do this. So we're doing our part. We proposed the plan to them, they approved it, and that's what we're following at this time. And we're to the point now where we got to either get the signatures, or if council would vote 2/3 this on to the Secretary of Interior, so we can have a secretarial election. And then that'll give the opportunity for the people to vote on each of the 50 amendments. And if council decides not to do that, then the petition part kicks in, where we get 1/3 of eligible voters, but we only vote yes or no on one product, and that'll be a finished draft 7 product. So the simplest way for people to vote on each of the amendment is through tribal council. Unfortunately, it's not getting there, or hopefully the president sets up a time and a meeting date for this to happen.
That is correct, and I think the another point in that conversation yesterday is, you know, some reps did attend the constitutional reforms, and they said, well, there was just, you know, not that many people participating, and it was good. It was good because that was a comment, a critique, and but they have to keep in mind that was only one meeting, and where we've gone to the district several times, and it was good because another response from that was, well, that's on us as a people. That's on us to get there and to be there and to participate. So as a people, you know, if this is as important to you, then you need to be participating and being able to get out there and let your council reps know, you know, this is important to you and that we need to move it forward so that people have a right to vote on each and every amendment.
And I think when they try and say that as like, oh, only 2 people were at that district meeting, you look at the numbers in the data report and you'll see the full numbers of the people that had input from what came from the people with the proposed amendments in the draft. So it's obvious that, like, as legislators, you should do your research, read what's presented to you, and then you'll know these things. So I think if they all took the time and read these nice binders that have all been provided to them, it shows all that data. The questions that they're asking, it's in that data.
And then also previous amendments to the Constitution are also listed in there in that history and what got changed. And they may say, well, 50 is a lot. Well, guess what? In previous revisions, there was a lot of changes in there, and it was pretty close to 50. So, you know, this isn't the first, and let me tell you, it won't be the last either.
And then like a reflection too, if they want to get about numbers and how many people have we collected this data from. It's like, what, 3,000 people And then when you reflect back on the amendments that they, in those other prior secretarial elections, only about maybe 500 to 700 people voted in those,
Right.
sent those back. And here you have some data where there's input from around 3,000 people.
Right,
How can you say no to those things
exactly.
when this is from the people?
So, like you said, it's having the information available so people can make good informed decisions. In the previous amendments to the Constitution, I didn't see any documentation that supported those amendments. Nothing was on file to prove why these were made, what was changed, what was the rationale, where's the data that supports these revisions, where's that at? Well, when we look back into the archives, we could not find it. So the reality is, here we're providing council and the people with the full documentation of these changes. And, Jackie, you talked about this a few shows back, is that, we took the majority of the responses in that common theme, and some people said, well, I don't see my recommendations in there. And that was because, those were some of the outlier recommendations, not saying that they weren't good, but it wasn't the majority of the input that was part of the data. So, that's why it was not included at that time.
I think we even have that information, because it's
Yeah.
not, probably not listed by the topic, but by numbers, because we did have a lot of comments, but it was like maybe one or two in a certain area, and I think that's where it was coming from. People said, well, I put down this information that I wanted changed, but it wasn't in there. So I had to explain, because we had to go by the common themes. It might have been just only this person's comment, and it didn't get on there, and I wished it would have, but we just didn't have enough people wanting that change for now. But it can happen in the future. We made the process a lot simpler for the people to make change in the future instead of going through what we are going through today.
Right, exactly.
I think that change is 5%, right? So
Right.
not 30%.
Not 30%, but 5%, where it can come from the grassroots level to move forward for a secretarial election. And with the secretarial election, what it does is it's a federal guidelines, but at the same time, it does hold the federal government responsible for making sure that the quality of the secretarial election does happen, and it's, the cost is also covered by the federal government and not by the tribe.
And we heard both sides of that. Why do we still need the Secretary of Interior to be involved in this process? We've had people, leave because they wanted it out. But when you think about the treaties and their responsibilities, we have to uphold them to that.
Correct. So, again, based upon the data, that's why it was left in. When we took back the revisions, and then people were saying, oh, well, we definitely need to update this and strengthen this, and, so there was more input coming in, and that was good. And, when we looked at the last secretarial election in 2008, there was only like 300, 500 who were passing these amendments. And again, they didn't come from the people, nor were they, the data wasn't there to support the revisions. And so, I think that's why there's a lot of disconnect with the people in tribal government, because their input hasn't been solicited. And this is the first time, and we can say it over and over again, is that we as the people are making history, because it is coming from the people. And it is going to be a government by the people, for the people.
Yeah, and then, 1/3 of eligible voters, that's around 4,500 signatures. And right now, when they had the secretarial election, the last one they had, only about 550, almost, 60, around there, 560 people voted. So that's a very large margin there, to require that many people to sign the petition and when only that many vote. So that's kind of,
I know.
I was looking at that, doesn't seem right, but I guess that's how it happens.
Well, even when I've heard other comments like, well, you need 90% of people to participate, and I'm just like, really? Like, that's really unrealistic when you look at the numbers and how many participate. So obviously, if we're ever, and hey, that would be awesome if we can get 90% or 50% to participate in this form of government. But right now, we're far from it. And it's our role as legislators to get out there, talk to the people, get this input to the people, hear their input. And maybe, and I don't know how many years, but maybe we can get 50%, 90% participation. But right now, that we've done, in these 80-some years, we have become disconnected from our people. And it's about time that we need to get connected to them. I mean, that's what I have to say is, like, if we can't say that 50 and 90% right now. I would love to get there, and maybe we will.
And I think it was said back then, Tina, about a couple shows ago, that we had more turnout in the state and national election than we did in our own tribal election.
Right.
Because I think our people just gave up, on our tribal government. That's, what I'm getting out of it.
Exactly, and there's numbers to reflect that as well. It's not that we are going out and doing this on our own. We do the research because the people have these questions, and then we give them the information. But we don't just tell them, we give them the documentation to show that. And the reality is for the most part, I can honestly say that, the people put us in here for a reason. They put us into office, and they want that change. And that's why we were elected back again, to continue to move this forward, to make that change. And, it's a little bit disheartening, and at the same time, it's shameful, because, that's who we represent. That's who is our priority, is the people. And yet, for some reason, when we get into that group, those objectives don't seem to be the priority. And it's a little bit frustrating when this did come from the people.
It's really, this is my 4th term I'm on right now, and just realizing from the past when some of the council didn't make it back in, they're saying, you guys need to do this, you guys need to do that, and I'm thinking, they sat in this circle.
Mm-hmm.
They should have made a change when they came into office, and now they're not in there, but they expect things to get changed. When I first ran for office, this is what I committed to, was change.
Mm-hmm.
I ran on it, and finally it happened, that constitutional reform is happening. And that is I think my agenda I ran on, and I'm going to continue to see it through. I can't back down because it's something that I started in the beginning advocating for. Right. So I think that's really, really important, because without changing the way the system is now, we're going to be sitting here again for how many years, So we got to all have that input. The people are asking for that. Change for the better.
Right, and all the books you can read on self-determination, self-governance, empowerment, all of the books, data out there written on tribal nations, go through these issues of within constitutional reform, but they give you a lot of reasons why it's important to look at that. And economically, in the Constitution, we're charged with, as elected leaders, to look out for the health and welfare of our people. The health and welfare of our people, that's one of our main responsibilities. And the lack of communication that happens, is the other frustrating part. And with that, I know, you know, like I said, we try to get all that information out there to the people. And I know Nakina's been kind of put on the spot about communicating with the people. And, you know, we shouldn't be penalized for doing what our jobs, you know, and that's the other part of it, is that we are doing our jobs. And that's what it says. We are following the laws. We are following the guidelines. And there's a lot of rumors out there, and I just ask the people that they come and talk to us, or they read the information that we provide and find out for themselves, because, you know, there's a lot of labels that are being put on us that we're bad, and we're trying to do a lot of bad things, and that's not the case at all. You know, again, this came from the people, and
I
we're
think-
only moving
yeah.
it forward.
And I think times have changed now, and Nikina's younger than all of us, and she's into technology and social media, so, you know, it's our right, you know, to speak and have our opinions and
But being professional
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
respected of everybody's
and have
decisions.
documentation to the things you're putting on, you know, to be transparent with the people, and that's always key. Always have documentation.
Yeah, I don't mind the being put on the spot. Like what I've learned to not take things personal, and people have a right to question and whatever. So I don't mind that at all. And my thing is they have to answer to the people. So, you know, and I'm only answering to the people. People ask me, so I put it out there. It definitely shows that our communication, you know, as a government, as a tribe, we need to be doing better. Our public, when I'm referred to as a public relations, I think we need to be getting something as a tribe going. And I know it's in the works. I hope that we can get better at it, because we need to be taking step forwards, not backwards.
I think you're on the right track, though, Nakina. People want to hear from their council reps, and you're informing the people that put you in, and that's our job.
Right.
And people always say that, why don't council tell us this or keep us informed? And I know I read the comments on Nakina's Facebook, and people are glad to hear what's going on. So that's part of our job, is to have communication with the people out there.
Yep, and that's just one form. Like, I can't even, like, whenever I see Tina, and Tina's always on her phone, she talks on her phone. I'm a texter, you know, and social media person. That's how people communicate to me. We all have different ways of how we communicate to the people, and that's what we got to do. That's why we were elected. So I definitely think that's important in whatever avenue, getting this out to the people, and especially right now, I think with everything that's gone on these last couple weeks with the storm and the flooding, that communication piece has been huge,
Right.
like for the people, especially those ones, you know, that live miles off the road, and how do they tell people, hey, we need this and that. Like, we really had to scramble and get things figured out. So now this is a lesson, I think, for all of us in trying to be planful and preventable and proactive, yeah, in these things. So I think this was a very eye-opening experience for everybody.
I think going to meet with the people also is a form of communication, and I really enjoy that when we get these things set up out in the districts and college centers and wherever they invite us to. And also on Facebook, you know, that's my form of communication. People don't like it, but, you know, that's my way, and I don't know what their way is, but that's my way of communicating. And also, you know, it'll be awesome if we can come on the radio every day, but
Right.
that can't happen because it does cost money. You know, we have to pay for services also, because it does cost money to keep Kili running. So we don't mind that, but it would be awesome to come up here if we could, you know.
Right.
But I really still feel that Facebook social media is the way these days.
I did get a question about maybe, and you guys might be able to answer that. Was there ever a discussion about a referendum vote for constitutional reform discussed in the process?
No, because what it states in the Constitution, and I can't say this enough, I guess, and trying to make it understandable or clarifying it is in the Constitution, there's only 2 ways in which you can make amendments to the Constitution, and that is through the secretarial election, 2/3 council vote, or 1/3 of the eligible voters through petition. That is the only way you can call for a secretarial election and to have a vote, and a secretarial election is done through the mail. So even if we did a referendum vote for a secretarial election, it still falls on council 2/3 or 1/3 petition of the people. So you see where referendum really doesn't fit into the process of the secretarial election.
And if it did, I mean, if it did, it would have been good prior to, I mean, it would have, if you did the referendum at the beginning before you guys became a task force, that would just say, yes, the people want this. So that would have been probably a step in the process to support the task force.
Right. And I think the other thing is, you know, even having a referendum vote to have it on the secretarial election, to have a secretarial election, you know, is just another way of bringing that forward. But I think the time and energy would be best spent in getting the petition for a secretarial election. And the reality is there is that disconnect, but a lot of education was happening in this process, and a lot of people want to get involved now, and we've seen that in the numbers. The people who are saying, yes, it's time we make it our government, make this our government, and even talking about district constitutions. So it's brought a lot of awareness of looking at constitutional reform
I
within
think
the
awareness
districts.
and empowerment.
Right,
Because I've
empowerment of the people.
I've seen districts now bring stuff forward. I mean, maybe it happened, maybe more so then, but I've been seeing it more now. Districts bringing things.
Right, right. And I know that in our previous shows, we tried to update the people on each and every amendment. And I think we got to Article 6 was the last article. And remember, the people restructured the Constitution. Didn't mean they eliminated those things, but they combined it in how it flows together. And so that's why there's the amendments there, that many amendments, because it's part of that restructuring of the government. And it finally defines out the 4 branches of government. And I say 4, not 3, but 4, and the 4th branch being the Elder Council. And you know, under the Elder Council is the Ethics and the Election Commission. Both of them fall under the Elder Council. And this was a discussion we had at last council meeting regarding the ethics. And that was something that's important to all of us to bring forward and move forward, you know. And as council, you know, when we do come together in a unified way, we're able to make good changes for our people. I mean, look at Sioux Nation, you know, last administration, and how we were able to, you know, come together on a common ground and make that change for the betterment of the people, the employees, and the customers. So with that, that's just an example, you know, it can happen. It's just finding that common ground to come together to make the change for the betterment of our people.
I'm looking at how when the structure of the government, and how I think what's key and very important about the amendments is we refer to it as the Wichoti, you know, back in the traditional form of government. So it's bringing a lot of that back. And then the legislative branch, the Choza.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm trying.
Yeah.
And then the judicial branch, the Akichita, and then the executive branch, again, that Waki Choza, and then the elder council, Wichasha, Itancha. So I think, I mean, that's, and there was some discussion when we were using those terms, going back out again, you know, some other reference about what it could be and what it could. So definitely needing to get some clarification on the terminology there, but like to make reference like that in our own constitution is huge,
Right.
and why not support that?
Right. And those values that makes us who we are, you know, as a people, and our culture and our language. And, you know, we got some comments that, you know, it's not completely in Lakota, but once it does get passed, we do have people working on it to convert it all into Lakota. And so that would be posted out there for the people, that the whole Constitution would be in Lakota for our people. And this is important because I know in Education Committee, last administration, we passed an ordinance that tribal treaties and government will be taught within all schools within the Pine Ridge Reservation. So to have that Constitution in Lakota is history, you know, and why hasn't it been done before, you know? And so this is why it's important we start bringing out that awareness and that education.
You know, that was one of the comments when we went through these presentations with the people out there, and they said it was hard for them to understand their current constitution. You know, and I was thinking about that, and when you looked at the preamble, it just wasn't us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like thinking about the people that made those statements. It was our elders,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that made that statement that we need to simplify it so we can understand it. And when you look at the preamble, it just didn't fit our people who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they were saying. It was hard for them to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we put language in there that better fits us, you know, I know they're going to be happy with it when they get that chance to vote on it. Would they want to keep the current preamble, or would they want to see a new preamble
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
better fits us? And I think that's what the comment was by the people, was we need to just simplify it to make it understandable for them to read, but not so simple to where it wouldn't stand up in court. That's why we utilized our attorney to help with the language.
Right. And so with that, you know, we're open to, like I said, further revisions and working with our tribal attorneys to keep this moving forward. You know, we are not trying to create any barriers. We're trying to create all the opportunities for our people. And so this is, like I said, we're open to trying to move this forward for the people in the best way that we can, without losing the integrity of all the work that went into this. And because these are their words, not ours. Their words of wanting this change, and their solutions that were offered to these changes. And so the integrity of this work is there in the reports. Everything that is supplied in the binders to Tribal Council shows the amount of work that went into this process.
I wanted to find out too, you know, that was one of the concerns that the president had made at the last council meeting in Wakmamani Lake area. He did say that he wanted our budgets. You know, did we provide those specifically to him?
Yes, we did make copies specifically for him of our aid to tribal government budgets, as well as our Native Nations Governance Grant. And so we gave him those budgets to review. And it wasn't given directly to him, but to his assistant with his binder. So he has additional, I provided supplemental additional information. And he was requesting reports to the BIA. Now, that's his office that provides reports on aid to tribal government funds, not us. We were awarded those funds through BIA, through Aberdeen, because in requesting the secretarial election. So that's how that worked last administration. And we weren't awarded the full amount. We were only awarded $60,000 to help move this forward.
So a reminder that all the funding that did go into constitutional reform did not come out of general fund. It came out of the BIA, Native Governance, and aid to tribal government. We got 3 sources of funding that helped us move this along.
And then how did we spend that funding? We hired the teams, the 3 teams. We gave them all stipends. We catered local people who provided the meals from each district. They were local people. We had to pay for copies to give to the people. Our volunteers who went out with us, they were given a stipend and gas. Sometimes we put money at 2 of the gas stations, one in Kyle and one in Pine Ridge, because those were the 2 gas stations that would work with us. And so we would give them gas to go out door to door. And that was part of the boots on the ground effort last administration. So all of the money is accounted for. We keep track of everything, making sure.
And we work closely with the comptroller on these efforts.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when, and I know it's tough in our role and our patience, and it's patience every day, because we have to listen to comments like, oh, well, let's use constitutional reform monies, or don't you guys have all this money? Like when stuff like that, and it's just, it's like, you have the documentation, just ask the questions. I can't even think off the top of my head, like, how many times, like, when people would come up to you in a professional manner, a respectable manner, and ask those questions, and we would have great conversations about anything regarding this endeavor, this initiative. And you won't even believe how many times people that came at us with these questions about misinformation that they had gotten from somebody else, or interpreted it how they wanted to interpret it. And then by the time we were done talking to them, they were like, I want to sign. I want to support this. Mm-hmm. So it's all it takes is having those conversations about anything that people have questions about, and you will see yourself that, like, this is not, like, from what you're hearing is not what is actual. So
Right.
So that's what I've learned in the last year and a half.
So we do have Councilman Bo Little White Man and Councilman Ryan Jumping Eagle listening in. They do have a question, and that goes back to the revisions in constitutional reform about blood quantum.
Mm-hmm.
In the current enrollment code, we use lineage. We do not use blood quantum. The amended constitutional article on membership, which we call enrollment, is that we will count the blood from the Tituan bands from the Ocheti Shakoi. So what does that mean? And are we going to use blood quantum for enrollment? No, we're still using lineage, but we're just counting the blood quantum when it's applicable, when it's needed. And what program still uses blood quantum today? And that is higher education. They are the only ones that use blood quantum. And so why is this important? It is important because, for example, I'm just saying for example, if my mother is full-blood Rosebud and my dad's full-blood Oglala, and they go to enroll me in the Oglala Sioux tribe, my blood quantum's going to reflect half, because I'm only half according to the lineage. So with the amended version, what the people are saying, we should count the blood quantum when it's needed of the bands of the Tituan from the Ocheti Shakoi. That's what that's saying. But blood quantum does not determine enrollment. It only, what is required for enrollment is family lineage. That's what it says within there. And there's a process for enrollment to expedite that process, because we had over 5,000 pending enrollments. And so the people wanted to expedite that process of enrollment. And what happens when they're denied enrollment? Well, now the people have a due process. Now they can take it to court if they're denied enrollment, so that they're given an opportunity to present their case for enrollment. So these are the revisions within the Constitution regarding enrollment.
But I think that was important, and what I can remember from the meetings, hearing from the people, going out to the districts and hearing from them. They like the elders still couldn't even believe like this was being discussed, because we were never, blood quantum was never an issue back in those days. It was you were or you weren't. So that was what I can remember from those meetings. Like it's just another way to divide. And I think that's what just really sticks from me from those meetings, when you hear from the elders. Like they just still can't they just think about it in their heads and where we are going as a people. So I think by doing that start right now is going to open that door for like our other tribal members that are, not just here, but are other places too, that are enrolled in other tribes not in South Dakota.
Right.
So we are down to our last minute here, and we have to read off the schedule again. So if you have your pen and paper, Nikina will go ahead and read them all.
All right, so April 4th and 5th from 9 to 3 will be in the Wombly area. So we'll be out there in the area again. If anybody in the area wants to volunteer and help, just let us know. We'll get you some stuff. April 7th and 9th will be in the Martin area from 9 to 3. April 10th and 11th would be in Allen area from 9 to 3. April 12th and 14th will be in the Kyle area from 9 to 3. April 16th and 17th will be in the Porcupine area from 9 to 3. April 18th and 19th will be in the Manderson area from 9 to 3. April 23rd and 24th will be in the Wakbomini area, 9 to 3. April 25th and 26th, the Pine Ridge area from 9 to 3. April 28th and 30th in the Oglala area from 9 to 3.
Wow, I'm already tired. It's going to be a whole month on the boots on the ground here.
But for me, it's an exciting time because we get to go back out, and we formed friendships too out in the communities and in the districts, and so to see those smiling faces from those grandmas and the little kids, so it's and the people. So
The
with
hugs.
the hugs from the animals and
Everybody?
so it's been really nice, and so I look forward, and we're coming upon that change of season, and it's new life and new beginning, and with the new life we hope to revitalize all of what has been said and to move it forward.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you guys for listening today. And again, reach out, contact, call if questions, if you want to volunteer. I would really like and want to inspire and empower everybody. We have been silent for too long, and I really want to create some empowerment of our people to step forward. This is the time now. So Wopila, thank you for listening. This is Nikina Mills, Pine Ridge District Rep, and my number is 407-2645.
So there was a question, quick clarification, where at in Oglala? Well, we're going to be going door to door. We're going to be all over the place. So that's our goal. That's why it's called Boots on the Ground Initiative. We're going to be out there in the communities, and maybe a couple of us might be in a central location, like at the post office or by the store. But for the most part, we'll be out
But when
into the communities.
But when we're out there, call us, Facebook us. Hey, we want to meet up. Can we meet up? That's communicate. We'll go to you.
Exactly.
So that's why we're sharing our numbers. We're on social media.
Okay, and this is Jackie Sears, Tribal Council Representative from Wakpamani, and my phone number is 407-8914. If you have any questions, if you want to volunteer, please give me a call. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for sharing this time with us. This is Dr. Valentina Merdanian, Oglala District Rep. You can reach me at 407-2635, and we look forward to coming out and being with the people again. Vilama Yaye.